Well, I got to talk about the NBA. First of all, I'm not a basketball fan. I pay no attention to it. I know many of you do. Okay, I know there are intelligent people who go to these games, fine. But the issue is about a thought crime being punished. That's what happened. This is the Clippers owner, Donald Sterling, who made horrible statements in private, on a phone, illegally recorded by some dirtbag, post-op looking transvestite type. And I have nothing against post-op transvestites, but, I mean, it shows you the man's judgment is shot. I told you that my professor, when I was earning my higher degree, said to me the first thing that goes in older people is their judgment. I mean, for God's sakes, look at what he picked for a girlfriend. What did he expect to happen? That's number one. But that's not the issue. He made a statement about don't bring African-American men to my Clippers games. Okay. Illegal? No. Offensive? Yes. In private? Yes. So he was suspended now. He's the owner now. Suspended for life and imposed a $2.5 million fine. So number one, he's going to sue. He didn't get where he is by being a weakling. He will sue and win. There are no grounds in the rule books, by the way, to suspend them so far as I can tell. I don't know the rules, but hey, listen, let me tell you something else. You know how these things work, don't you? Because tomorrow this is going to bite you in the behind. Tomorrow this is going to bite the black players when they start throwing around curse words about themselves to each other or about whites, and someone records them. What are you going to do then? Say it's part of the culture? Be careful with what you ask to happen to others because it will happen to you. Same thing with sanctions against Putin. I told you they'd boomerang. I told you that he had more power over us than Doofus has over him. Doofus is still on the world tour where he flopped again. Took a world tour and took a header. He'll come back again to a junior high school crowd and tell them about carrot juice. Meanwhile, he failed wherever he went. And it put new sanctions against Russia. And so what did Putin warn through a factotum? That we might threaten your astronauts. We might not allow them a seat on our rockets to the International Space Station. They own the bus, man. They own the bus because Doofus eliminated NASA's shots up into space. Your Doofus killed NASA. So now we're passengers on Russian rockets to the space station. What do you think Russia's going to do? They're going to retaliate. Same thing with the basketball deal. The NBA has a double standard, by the way. Of course there's racial bias in the NBA, but it's not only where you think it exists. You heard an awful lot in the last couple of days about Donald Sterling, right? Owner of the L.A. Clippers, and the racist comments he made at home in private, recorded by a spurn lover, and then sent round the world by Hollywood gossip rag TMZ. I don't agree with anything Sterling said, but there should be some discussion in this age of every one of us with our connectiveness and whether you fear that tomorrow it could be you. Take it from someone who walks this tightrope every day. This is not an easy job that I have. Most people do not have the psychological strength to withstand the level of constant scrutiny that I live with. But I'm digressing. You see, the NBA has a race problem. Donald Sterling, an NBA owner, made some incendiary comments in private that are being used to destroy him. And wait until you see who moves in for the kill and will profit by buying this very successful team, which, by the way, he built. He bought it when it was a loser team from nowhere. He attended every game that was ever played, and he built it up personally as a businessman would do. And now someone's going to try to swoop in using the racial scam as an opportunity to buy the team on the cheap. He won't sell it, by the way. But meanwhile, a guy named Jay-Z, a minority owner of the New Jersey Nets, was seen on the sideline wearing an enormous medallion from the Whites Are Devils group. Did you miss that one? From the New York Post, and I'll quote, "Black people are the fathers and mothers of civilization. White men are the devil. The Christian God is nothing more than a ghost, and only a small percentage of people understand the world. These are just some of the beliefs behind the bling, the gaudy 5% nation medallions worn by Jay-Z." Now, last week, all eyes at the Barkley Center weren't on Jay-Z's better half, Beyonce, but they were on the coaster-sized golden pendant swinging from the rapper's neck as the couple sat courtside. Asked if the group's symbol, an 8-pointed star with the number 7 in the middle, held any meaning for him, the rapper shrugged, "A little bit." So what exactly do 5%ers believe? Quote, Michael Muhammad Knight, an author of 2 books on the radical group, says, quote, "The rationale is that the black man is God and created the universe and is physically stronger and intellectually stronger and more righteous naturally, close quote. It goes on, their belief system. Quote, whiteness is weak and wicked and inferior, basically just an errant child who needs to be corrected, close quote. Well, I didn't say anyone should ban Jay-Z from wearing that medallion. If he wants to wear a swastika, he could wear a swastika to the basketball court, right? You'd find that offensive, but you don't know what's on his little medallion, do you? Because you're too stupid to ask, right? Charles Barkley, who's another dunce, says, quote, we could not have an NBA owner discriminating against a league that's, we're a black league, quote. Really? They're a black league? Well, Charles Barkley was always missing a few brain cells. I once had an interchange with him. He came away looking like the, let us say, sports figure that he is. He certainly didn't have the intellectual horsepower that he pretends to have. As someone who doesn't judge people based on their race or skin color, I, Michael Savage, must profess to being very, very upset here. Black basketball stars say that the white honky racist owner has to leave over some stuff his twisted ex recorded on him at home, right? While other owners who happen to be black show up at games with, quote, whites are devils bling, and no one says anything. So a few questions. How do you feel about a world that you're living in where your private thoughts can be used against you? How do you feel about racism being used as a tool against white people and never against people of color? Let me tell you this. Racism is inherent in the human condition. It will never, ever be ruled out. If you look at the animal kingdom and you look at the human kingdom, which is part of the animal kingdom, there is always separation between types. There's a great little movie about parakeets. I think they're parakeets. I think the wild parakeets of Telegraph Hill. I don't want to go into a long-winded detail. I look at these birds outside my window in the city. Hundreds and hundreds of them evolved from a pair that was caged and left out wild 20 years ago. There's hundreds of them now, and most of them look alike. Some of them come from Colombia, some from Venezuela, some from Argentina. And some of these birds look alike to you, but they have slightly different feather color. And guess what? They're ostracized by the other birds. The birds will not mate and will not associate with birds of a different feather. That's the way the animals work. You say, well, we're not animals. We should be different. Well, okay, go to China and tell a billion people they shouldn't be racist. Ask them what they think about other races. The same to Japan. Go to Japan and tell them they shouldn't be the insular nation that they are. You don't see too much immigration in Japan, do you? I realize we're a different nation. We're a polyglot nation, and we should have come past this. But what are you going to do when someone tape records an African-American player or owner saying vicious things against another race? Are you going to look the other way and say, well, that's different? Well, it isn't different. It's the same thing. So be very careful in your celebration and you're high-fiving each other that they got Donald Sterling, because tomorrow it can be you. That's